Hello everyone, this is my teaching memo for session 2. Well, football season is officially over and Tom Brady has solidified his position as the greatest quarterback of all time. What a game. Dr. Laura and I attended a Super Bowl party, and as I stated in a Facebook post, and where is it? There it is. Prepared to invade a nest of haters, and they were so happy when the Patriots were down 28-3, 25 points. Can you imagine? And they weren't so happy when we came back and won. So there we are, and there's a picture of me and my kids. That was taken a couple years ago, I think before the AFC Championship against Denver, where we lost last year. Maybe last year that was, yeah. There's my Tom Terrific shirt that I wore yesterday, and my daughter Kate. That's my daughter Kate. That's my son Dan. As you can see, we are all Patriots fans. It must be genetic. All right, it's a little glimpse at my Facebook page. I was exhausted at the end. We got home, and we had to, of course, I had to watch some of the post game happenings when we got home, and actually saw Bill Belichick smiling and happy. And now the debate rages: is Brady the best ever? You decide. All right, starting off with a little housekeeping. Again, many of you had issues with the embedded questions in my videos. If you do not see a score in your grades, if you go into My Grades under SPED Video 1, SPED Video 2, SPED Video 3, if there's no grade there, that means your video didn't come through, the grade did not come through. So I have the 3 links here. If you click on these links, you'll see the questions. Just write them down, email them to me, and I will put your grade in. The assessment literacy AIDB is officially closed, and you can no longer comment, which is what happens to discussion boards. There are many of you who waited till the last minute to make your posts, and of course that's your decision, but it's not the way you're going to get the most out of this course. Those people that got on early, who reacted to my posts, who referenced the text, there you will see your grade will be reflected in the quality of your posts. According to the rubric, you need to cite a source in at least 4 of your 5 responses. Many of you just wrote responses. Oh, that's great. I like it. I do this in my class, blah, blah, blah. You'll get credit for making connections to yourself if you're talking about yourself as a learner, yourself as a teacher. That's a different characteristic. But the characteristic where it says you have to support your comments with evidence from the text, unless I see a citation there, unless I see a reference to my presentation, or unless I see you sharing a relevant, quote unquote, relevant web link, you won't get points for that. So keep that in mind. I would also suggest to maximize your learning to search for my comments in the discussion boards and take a crack at responding. I may be posing a question and sharing an article to someone specific, but anyone can respond. Only a few of you took that risk this session. I want to see more. You can find my post by using the search feature in the upper right corner, and I will show you that. If I go into discussion board, if you, okay, this is, I can't go into discussion boards because they're closed, but this is my favorite app video, which is my 630. Let me go into our discussion board. This is grade the DEJs, which is, I'll talk about a little later. But if you go into this search function here and just type Mawini and hit go, it'll come up with I have no posts here. This is there are all my posts that I've made so far. This is the exemplar. So That's how you can find mine. You can just react right when that comes up. So I would recommend doing that. You can also challenge me with some thought-provoking questions. I had a nice discussion in this week's discussion board with a couple of you, and I'll talk about that in a minute. You also receive, I want to remind you that you also receive points for making your initial post early. Now you can make, if you make it within the first 3 days, that's an A+ for timeliness. You have up until the next Sunday, so you have 7 days to make your initial post to get that A. It's 3 days for an A+, 7 days for an A, and then of course it goes down from there. Finally, look at the session objectives in the session folder and make sure you feel comfortable that you've mastered them every week. So that's important. I also want to remind everyone that you should be filling out your vocabulary in your own words. That's VIYOW worksheet, as well as the baseline summary. So where do you find those? Well, I've placed the vocabulary in your own words. I've placed it. If you go in course materials, handouts, and you should find it down here somewhere, and of course it's not there. Oh, there it is, right there, right at the top. I don't know what I'm looking at. So that's vocabulary in your own words. Download that and then use it, fill it out as we go through the course. As you watch my presentations, I usually have a little VIYOW in the corner when I'm about to talk about vocabulary in your own words. All right. And the baseline survey, if you go in, that's in week session 11. It must be in session 11. So I'm not having you have everything due on the last day. Session 11 assignments, course evaluation, revised SR test, baseline survey. Okay, so there's the final baseline survey in session 11, and the rubric is a little different because this now you have to actually cite references from our course to answer these questions, these 5 questions. So a little foreshadowing. Session 1 and 2, the assessment literacy discussion board is closed. I'll be grading it this week. For your information, each discussion board as well as each double entry journal will increase in weight as the course goes on. This is a grading system that accounts for students' use of feedback as the course continues. So I would expect your later discussion boards and your later double entry journals to be better than your early ones. Makes sense to me, so they're weighted more. So I'm not averaging them, and that's one of the problems with averaging, because it doesn't. It's like someone who runs track; they don't average their personal best. Their personal best is their best time. So that's why I weight them the way I do. The last 2 sessions discussion board was an introductory one where pretty much anything assessment-wise was fair game. Many of you have mentioned hot topics as teaching to the test, using assessment results to evaluate teachers and promote students, and your aversion or support of large-scale standardized testing process. Several of you took the time to share some helpful websites. I invite all of the pre-K and K teacher and kindergarten teachers or prospective teachers to visit additional resources. Early childhood assessment. Now, I don't specifically talk about early childhood assessment, so I've added in additional course materials. If you scroll down, you should find a folder or an early childhood assessment. So if you click on that, you'll see some articles and information on pre-K and K kindergarten screening and assessment. So good stuff there. Check that out for all your pre-K teachers. Many of you expressed your distaste for large scale. Okay, I'm going to pause this. Many of you expressed your distaste for large scale assessments. Many because you didn't do well, others because of the class time sacrificed, and still others who felt they encouraged teaching to the test and produced unnecessary test anxiety. We can change all that, and Nicole cited an article by one of my favorite bloggers, Heather Walpert-Gowan, that she found in course materials on how we can make assessments meaningful. It can be found in session 1 course materials. So nice job sharing that and commenting on it, Nicole. And there are extra materials and course materials that you can use either in your double entry journal to connect to or in the discussion board as Nicole did. So nice job there, Nicole. We have 2 PE teachers in my 64023 section. I've always been on the lookout for what I call lifelong exercise teachers, and it seems we have them in this course. Both Mark and Samantha made some good points about some districts using PE classes for test prep sessions, which absolutely shouldn't be done, of course, unless you've got phys ed teachers that are just having kids play games and not do what I call lifelong exercise regimens. They made some great comments about assessments in their classes and stating the fact that movement can release some of the stress from the test prep sessions, and I am a big believer in that. Many of you mentioned formative assessments. I shared an often cited, with Kelly and Edit, which was also mentioned by Tashiana, outlining the power of formative assessments. And Joe referenced a follow-up to that article by Black and William. This first article is by Black and Willem and is one of the most often cited based on the strength of the research that they reported, and it was done in 1998. Then they followed that up with a 2004 article, Black, Harrison, Lee, Marshall, and Willem, in which the authors mentioned 3 issues they found with current assessment practice. 1, the assessment methods that teachers use are not effective in promoting good learning. Grading practices tend to emphasize competition rather than personal improvement. And 3, assessment feedback often has a negative impact, particularly on low-achieving students who are led to believe that they lack ability and so are not able to learn. And that goes back to our growth mindset that many of us talked about and are familiar with. I will try to highlight a few exemplary posts in the coming teaching memo, so please don't feel ignored if you shared something wonderful and I did not mention it. There are way too many good posts for me to document here. Session 3. This next session will conclude the 2 units on special education assessment. This week you have a different kind of discussion board. You need to go into one of these 3 websites, Intervention Central, What Works Clearinghouse, or Intervention Hero, and find an academic or behavioral intervention that you might use in your classroom if you are currently teaching. You can use your smartphone or computer to record a 3 to 5 minute discussion in your own words. If you're going to use your smartphone, please use it horizontally. If you use it vertically, it puts those 2 black margins in and is not very attractive. So if you're going to set up your smartphone, turn it horizontally to record your video. And Intervention Central often has worksheets. So if you do an intervention, find an intervention that you like. Make sure that you're not repeating someone else's. So make sure you go into the discussion board first and that nobody else is doing the intervention you chose. I don't want any repeats. I want because this is all about learning about new interventions. And that's the whole key to response to intervention, is using interventions that are research-based and documenting progress every 2 or 3 times a week with what I call curriculum-based measurements, which are short, timed, and sensitive to small gains in achievement. So find that behavioral intervention and make a 3 to 5 minute video. And if there are handouts, put a link to the handout in your discussion board, and also put a link to the intervention where you found it. So we can go there, especially me. I like to go and check it out. And if there are handouts, I want to make sure that you have shown them to us and say, hey, this is the handout that was there. So make sure you do it in your own words. You can either attach the video to your discussion board post or upload it to YouTube or TeacherTube. I'd rather you upload it to YouTube. Just create an account. TeacherTube is filled with ads, and I don't know. I just don't like that. And in the this week's presentations, if you go in coursework by week and go into week 3, and this video presentations, I have session 3 part 1, part 2, and part 3, which I talk about response to intervention. I thought I had a video on how to embed. Let me look in the course materials. I do. I have embedding a video on the discussion board and shooting video with your iPhone. So these will help you. And then in handouts, I have vocabulary in your own words. This is the Fisher and Fry chapter that you're going to be doing a double entry journal on. That'll be the assignment for this week coming up, but I'll get to that in a minute. You're going to have your first double entry journal, and I have exemplar double entry journals. I have those 3 videos that you need to watch, because I talk about what I think is important in the Fisher and Fry chapter, which is what you're going to annotate. And then you're going to make connections to Bender and Shore, Cohen and Spencer, 2015. And there are also many articles and websites in Session 3 course materials to which you can connect. You don't have to connect to all of them, but I like to see you connect to at least 2 or 3 ancillary resources other than the Fisher and Fry chapter that you have to annotate. Now, what is important in Fisher and Fry? That's why you have to watch my 3 videos. I talk about what I think you should be reacting to. If you want to maximize your grade, it won't hurt to connect to all of them. So to give you an idea what I expect, I've assigned a grade, the DEJs. This is a very simple discussion board. If you look at it, this is a modified discussion board rubric. You only have to post, and I have an exemplar grade the DEJ post on here. You read the 4 DEJs and you grade them. And grading is 4 out of 4. 8 out of 8 is a perfect score for quantity and quality. So everyone will do that. I don't expect a lot. This is quick. I like this. I gave this an 8 out of 8 because, and then go in and comment on your fellow group mates' reactions as well. You don't have to cite any research, any evidence, any resources. Just make for an A, make 5 comment on 5 of your classmates grading the DEJs. Doesn't have to be anything. Just I agree with you on this one. This one I thought you were off. Blah blah blah. That's it. So that's your discussion board for this week. A very quick one, not a comprehensive one, and so do that before you start doing your double entry journal. I've done like I said, it's important you watch the videos this week. They don't follow the test specifically, and there's a good deal of extra information. So if you're not mentioning progress monitoring, you're not mentioning the 3 tiers, you're not mentioning the use of curriculum-based measurements, you're not going to get full credit. So that's what you'll get from watching my videos. So I'm looking forward to watching your videos and getting to meet you more personally. We have a vacation week coming up, so I think I'm having one of your assignments due. Let me just look and see when they're due. Let's go into session 3. This session ends February 12th, but then we have a week. We have a week in between. We have a week off afterwards. You grade the DEJs. That's due on the 12th. Your favorite intervention. So you have a while to do that. I'd get it over with, but it doesn't close till February 28th. So you have 2 sessions. So that's the one that lasts over 2 sessions. Your double entry journal is due at the end of this session. So grade the DEJs and your double entry journal are due on the 12th. Your favorite intervention video is not due until February 28th. And I have 2 exemplars here of interventions. I think these are both received A's for a grade. So that's it. So you'll have a couple of weeks to get that done, and then we'll have a week off after that. And you'll have a Valentine's Day coming up too. So that's it for this week, and I'll see you next Monday.